Happy Groundhog Day, everyone. No, it's not February 2nd, but it sure feels like we're living the same day over and over as Brett Kavanaugh is back in the news for absolutely no credible or corroborated reason. In fact, it's the same false accusation as 1 year ago involving his penis. Yes, that is the topic of the day. I'm Katie Petrick, and this is Healthy Republic. I never imagined the discussion this week would be, again, all about a soup kitchen volunteer and Catholic man who was nominated to the Supreme Court 1 year ago and then had his reputation dragged through the mud, only to be confirmed by the Senate, and who has been serving judiciously as a justice on the Supreme Court because, in fact, there is no evidence that more than 35 years ago he ever sexually assaulted anyone. But alas, here we are. The New York Times, that's all that needs to be said, ran a news analysis piece, not a news story, but a news analysis essay, aka op-ed, on Sunday called Brett Kavanaugh Fit In With the Privileged Kids. She did not. It was written by reporters Kate Kelly and Robin Pugrin, who are also the authors of an upcoming book, The Education of Brett Kavanaugh, an Investigation. Of course, it is neither education or an investigation, but it is 1 year after the first go-round of this nonsense, so let's just Groundhog Day it up. Fun fact, I had never seen Groundhog Day until Monday night, and just by complete coincidence, I watched the movie. And that's not even an analogy to make this entire video fit together. You can check my Netflix account. I personally think it's a providential sign.
I'm a god.
You're God.
I'm a god. I'm not the god.
Not really. But the New York Times sure thinks it is God by the way it decides what is newsworthy. The latest essay discusses Deborah Ramirez, who is one of the original accusers of Kavanaugh's during his confirmation to the Supreme Court. The essay is about how she was a good girl before attending Yale, but that during freshman year she was tainted at a drunken party that involved Brett Kavanaugh waving his penis in her face. This is the same allegation from last year, and when the New Yorker originally addressed the claim 1 year ago, guess how much evidence was found? Yeah, about that much. Ramirez originally admitted she wasn't sure that Kavanaugh was the male who exposed himself. She couldn't find any corroborating witnesses, and Kavanaugh's attendance at the party was even questionable. And Ramirez never told her best friend about the incident at the time, even though they shared many intimate details with one another. But as Ramirez told the New Yorker last year, after 6 days of carefully assessing her memories and consulting with her attorney, Ramirez said that she felt confident enough of her recollections to say that she remembers Kavanaugh had exposed himself at a drunken dormitory party, thrust his penis in her face, and caused her to touch it without her consent as she pushed him away. Yet it took 36 years in a Supreme Court nomination to get that recollection out. Now, this is in no way to downplay any sexual assault. But if you have to rack your brain for 6 days and consult with an attorney before you know what happened, then it sounds like it didn't happen. At least not how you are being told it did by your attorney after 6 days of assessing memories.
I am racking my brain, but I can't even begin to imagine why you'd make up something like this.
None of this is new information. But we get back to present day when the New York Times really is making this up because it's their fantasy to take down Kavanaugh, a Trump-nominated justice, and of course, they're looking to hawk more books. In true New York Times fashion, they issued a tweet to promote the story and then had to apologize because it was offensive as they downplayed sexual assault. The tweet read, "Having a penis thrust in your face at a drunken dorm party may seem like harmless fun."
You want my advice? I think you should get your head examined if you expect me to believe a stupid story like that.
And then the New York Times had to correct the essay they published Sunday, adding a note at the end. What's that say? The female student declined to be interviewed, and friends say that she does not recall the incident. That information has been added to the article. Let me get this straight. This major revision was necessary because the supposed witness to this incident actually doesn't recall the incident. So again, there's no corroboration.
During the editing process, there was an oversight and this key detail about the fact that the woman herself has told friends she doesn't remember it and has not wanted to talk about it, got cut.
Whoops! But there's more. The essay was so illogical that they had to write a Q&A piece to answer for their lack of credibility in the first place. Times Deputy Editorial Page Editor James Dow answered questions about why they published the news analysis.
the reason we just decided to run this excerpt was to contextualize the allegations of Deborah Ramirez, which is what our book does, which is one of these stories that we felt got passed over too quickly in the confirmation process, and to give her story sort of the fullness of real, true investigation and the fact that we have 7 people who remember it. And that was the purpose of the excerpt, and to really kind of flesh that out when it never really got its due.
Really flesh that out. Give it its due. For being a writer, Prograbin's word choice about penis thrusting is left to be desired by no one. Are you confused yet? Frustrated yet? We continue in learning that the man who is the friend of the alleged victim that is included in the story turns out to be Democrat Max Dyer, who is a member of the impeachment defense team for Bill Clinton. So yes, the Clintons are involved, as always. During this same time period, Kavanaugh was working for Ken Starr, who is on the opposing side investigating Clinton's impeachment referral. Potential conflict of interest much? But us suckers who live in the sticks are supposed to believe that all of this about Kavanaugh, just like the original investigation last year, is being done in the name of justice.
Yeah, they're hicks, Rita.
At least President Trump said what all of us are thinking.
And I just put out a statement on social media that said, I don't think they'll do it, but they should for the good of the nation. I call for the resignation of everybody at the New York Times involved in the Kavanaugh smear story.
And as the week continued, Jill Abramson, the former editor of the New York Times, stood by her old company and the story.
I think my move would have been the moves that the Times has made. I mean, no one has challenged the basic accuracy of the story that they published or of what's in the book.
Except that the reporters have thrown the editors under the bus by stating it was the editors who took the language out of the article. They are the ones who really stepped in it.
Watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
Any sane person would think this is a great opportunity for the New York Times to gather the entire staff and have one of those mandatory inclusivity kumbaya trainings and sit in a Barney circle to discuss what the bleep just happened and how to prevent it in the future. But they won't, because they believe they are invincible.
I have been stabbed, shot, poisoned, frozen, hung, electrocuted, and burned.
Oh, really?
And every morning I wake up without a scratch on me, not a dent in the fender. I am an immortal.
That's how all of the media views itself in every instance. We, the people, are the idiots. In this case, though, something put even our most calming of voices over the edge. The one and only Senate Majority Leader Mitch the Turtle McConnell took to the Senate floor with fire in his hand.
This laughable suggestion is already earning scorn throughout the country, across the political spectrum. A majority of senators and the American people rightly rejected the politics of unsubstantiated personal destruction just last year.
Did you see how lit Cocaine Mitch was? He was as heated as any time I've ever seen him. I mean, that was straight fire coming from him. He was seething. And he was absolutely correct. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't include this little nugget of gold, or rather disgusting imagery. So if you're eating food right now, please stop. Because on Tuesday, in an effort to shy away from the Kavanaugh insanity, or maybe just to prove once again how awful the New York Times really is, they published an article under the headline, "Women Poop, Sometimes at Work. Get over it." Complete with imagery of bathroom stalls that include 2 women in one stall, a man in the stall next to them, and then a stall where the woman has taken her shoes off. Well, the New York Times certainly knows how to talk a lot of crap. I crack myself up so you don't have to. Now, all of this is stupid. It just is. This entire thing is about a penis in a hand that never really was in any hand. But we continue to hear about it. Does anyone else find it odd that the supposed victims just all happen to be Democrats? I get that Democrats claim victimhood for everything, so I guess it makes sense, but did Kavanaugh just go after Democratic women? Are we supposed to believe that, or anything else that has happened involving these allegations? In an effort to leave you with a positive note, go pet a puppy, and then look up at the clouds for an hour. Just get away from the stupidity. Until next time, stay healthy, America.